This is lesson number 4. We are going to be talking about prepositions. I have here with me Leo de Leon. He will be helping us with our prepositions. He'll come in and will be a prop for doing propositions. And for this particular lesson and for learning prepositions, I highly recommend that you get a stuffed animal that you can use for understanding the positions of words. So prepositions will be spatial relationship. What is my relationship to this lion? And I'll show you how that works. And when the class ends, you'll say, I've got to get myself a stuffed animal. And people will make fun of you. And you can say, no, I'm learning Greek. And so welcome Leo de Leon to our class today. Prepositions tend to be in front of nouns and verbs, and they can also stand alone. So pre, meaning in front of, and then positions tells us where we are in relationship to an object or another person, or in this case, Leon. They're spatial, not special, but spatial, how I fit around in space. One of you had asked the question, well, what makes a preposition any different than any other prefix? And that's a good question. Just on the face value, there's no difference at all. It's a prefix, but the words themselves stand alone in this category of telling you how I relate to other things, and we'll see this. Whereas an ordinary prefix will tell you mostly about maybe a shade of meaning, or a past tense prefix, for instance, for a verb. But these are definitely about where I am in the universe. The first word is ana. Ana means up from, or up to, or you might say even up against, but it has the sense of up. It's tricky when there are other prefixes that look very similar. One of them is the prefix of a, which means not. So catharsis means clean. Acatharsis means not clean or unclean. If there are an A in front of a word that starts with N-A, you can see where the confusion comes in. Is it ana, or is it with a word that starts with an A? It is also not the same as the word anti. Anti is definitely a prefix, and it definitely means against. So antichristos, an antichrist, is someone who's against Christ. Just simply means not, or whatever, so not clean, unclean. But these are prefixes. Ana is a preposition. It can also stand alone. Up, if you think of up, it'll work. Kata is down. In particular, it's down from something. Kata also is translated in the New Testament as according to. So the book of Luke, the Gospel of Luke, is kata Lucas, which means according to Luke. It might be easier to remember use down from. It says, this story came down to me from Luke. This story may have come down to me from my great-great-great-grandparents. So you get the sense of down from, both physically in space or metaphorically in the sense of I received something from someone before me. So kata, down from, ana, up from. Then we get into the relationship of going into, out of, and staying in. Ice or is. I like saying ice because it's a diphthong. Ek or ax. This letter can be a K or an X when you translate it, depending on what letters follow. We get our modern word exit, and the word for iglesia or ecclesia means out. Kletos is called, or ecclesia, the called out ones. So this is called out ones, or the church. And it's more about our outness. We're called to go out and do something. Betterkit, for instance, is a church planner. He is being called out to go to Ethiopia and plant a church, as opposed to a synagogue, which is gathered within. I'm gathering of birds of a feather, like feather. I'm coming with others. But the church, ecclesia, has the sense of outness. I'm charged with a mission. I'm heading out to do something. En is just like the English word in, en, in. They even look alike in the Greek on the New Testament. And so if you see en, it's just simply in. So your brain will rapidly start recognizing en as in. So in, out, and going into. En, ek, ice. The next series has to do with vertical relationships. So epi has the sense of upon. I am laying on top of something. That would be its passive meaning. Or I'm coming upon something, which would be its active meaning. So I came upon a group of people by the river who are worshiping God. That would be epi, I've come upon. Or I sat upon a rock. That would be epi, at rest. Hooper, and you'll notice that the U became a Y for hyper. Hooper is above or beyond or over. It's different than epi. Epi is I'm actually sitting upon something. Hooper more has the sense that I'm floating above. I'm above this item. It could be physically I'm above an object, or it could mean I am gone way beyond whatever the verb might be. So if I'm hyperactive, that means I'm more than just active. I've gone way beyond. So that has a sense of beyondness or going overboard about something. On the other hand, hupo or hypo, the U, became a Y. Hupo has the sense of something belowness, or have come under. The line might be sitting on top of me, but I'm below. I'm underneath it. So hypodermic is beneath the skin, or hypoglycemic means my sugars have fallen below the norm. So it's both a concept physically, that I'm physically below an object, or I am out of range in the negative about some concept such as blood sugars. These three words, meta, para, and peri, have to do with nearness, how near I am, or what is my relationship alongside or about this particular thing, such as this line here. Meta has the sense of just with. I might be moving alongside with them, but more or less I'm static. I'm staying with the line. Para, meaning I'm running in parallel. I might be running alongside. It has more of an action feeling to it, but it also has the sense that I'm nearby. Meta has the sense of being nearby. Peri is running circles around the lion. I am about this lion. I am circulating. So it also has the metaphor, it has the spatial meaning that I am circling an object, but it also has the metaphor that I'm talking about something. I'm talking in circles around a concept, for instance. We have a perimeter, which is the best way of thinking of peri. It's a fence around some object. Another word we use is in submarines is a periscope, periskopos. Now, it took me a while to figure out how this tied to being around or circular. But if you think of a periscope, it goes up and then it allows the captain of the submarine to rotate and see 360 degrees of what's above the water. And so that's the sense of aroundness, circular. So meta, I'm just merely with the item. I don't know if I'm running alongside it or ahead or below. I'm just kind of in proximity. I'm near it. Para, meaning implying some action, not necessarily, but if we are acting, we're walking together in parallel. And then peri means I'm running circles around the object. The next set has to do with approaching the lion or running away from the lion. So apo means I'm going away from something, or I'm just simply the word from, not of, like I am of the Church of Christ, but I'm running away from, I'm leaving. That's the sense of apo, more of escaping, not quite ek. Ek is an immediate exit. Apo means I'm already on the path away from where I'm going. Pro means I'm in front of this lion. I might be kicking the dirt and not really paying attention, but I'm physically in front of the lion. We would use the word prologue, pro in front of, and log, which we get from logos, which means, or logos, which means word. So this is a in front of word, or a word before the main body of text of a book or a movie. And other words might be a preface, preface, or a like a forward. So all of these three words, a forward, a prologue, all have to do with words that you would say before the main body of text. Pros, if I add an S, notice it's got an os ending, but it is not a noun. It is a preposition, and it means not only am I in front of the lion, but I am facing the lion. I like this Greek phrase that uses this, prosopon, prosopon, which means prosopon, which means face. Pro means before, and prosopon, face. Face before face. In other words, there's a passage which says, we shall see God face to face. Prosopon, prosopon, and prosopon, prosopon. And you get this sense that I'm nose to nose. I'm facing the item, not just merely pro, where I'm physically in the proximity of the front of the person, but I'm actually paying attention to him. I'm looking at my commanding officer, so to speak, rather than just simply staring at the ground. Pro and pros. If you translate these both as simply as in front of or before, it'll work. But there is this subtle difference of an inattentive mere presence in front of someone as opposed to paying attention and facing them nose to nose. All right, the next word is not a preposition, but it is a word that gets confused as a preposition, de. De means but. More often than not, that's all it means, but. Sometimes it can mean and, like kai. Kai means and, so it could be a synonym for and it can also mean moreover, especially if it starts a sentence. Moreover, such and such happened. Or you could say, however, such and such happened. But if you say, but, that's really a good wooden translation of the word de. It sometimes gets confused with di or dia. Dia means through. It's very much like the word via or way. If you think of a wayfare or a thoroughfare, that's the concept of a dia. One of you asked the question about diabolos. How does that fit in? Well, dia means through or through some action. Boali means I'm going to cast something, such as a stone. So through casting of a stone, that is the devil's function. He is throwing rocks at you, trying to attack you, very crudely attack you. It's not a spear point like an arrow. That would have a different word. But this is more of, I'm in your face and I'm throwing rocks at you. That would be diabolos. So through a throw of a stone. The next two, meta and soon, are indeed synonyms. They both mean with. Meta means with, soon means with. Metamorphic, for instance, just means with, and morphos is form. So we get the word metamorphic, such as a caterpillar that turns into a butterfly, or a metamorphic rock that is formed by volcanic action. These are just means with form. You won't really know the context without the rest of the sentence. But in Romans, it uses the word metamorpho, which means transform. So with form, I am transformed by the renewing of my mind, Paul says in Romans, and he uses metamorpho. But meta and soon, by themselves or as an attached preposition to a noun or verb, means with. Here are two examples. One is synagogi. I don't know what gi means, but soon means with. Ago is the verb I lead, and it comes across more of with a way of life. Birds of a feather who are gathered together. It translates directly into English as synagogue, synagoge, a synagogue. Here's another word, synopsis. A synopsis, a U becomes a Y. Well, by the way, also for synagogue, a U becomes a Y. Synopsis made it right into English as synopsis. So This is with. Opsis is kind of an optic. I'm making an observation. So this is a capsulized summary, an abstract, if you will, of a book. And so it gets translated as with insight. A synagogue is with a way of life. Birds of a feather flock together. And synopsis is with insight. So this little brief summary is going to give me insight into what the whole book is about. Think of a dust jacket and on the back cover of a book, and you read that to say, should I buy the book? Well, the synopsis on the back cover should tell you enough about the book to say, yes, I'm going to buy the book. And I'm going to bring out Leo. Leo the Leon. And why? It is, if I just had you memorize the words, you would only learn about 10%. It doesn't stick. But if I have an object that I can practice with, it'll help me anchor in those words into my mind. So let's do that. I'm just going to use my hand here. Here's Leo. Hi, Leo. If I'm in front of Leo, what would be the word that I would use? If I'm just simply standing there, I would use the word pro. But if I'm staring at Leo, roar, thus I'm nose to nose with Leo, is pros. If Leo is scaring me, I'm going to run away, growl, So oppo, I'm running away from the lion. Let's say I wish to go up and sit upon the lion and then come down. I would ana up the lion, and I would epi, let me get my hand out here. I would epi, which means I'm sitting upon the lion, physically on the lion. And then the lion doesn't like it, roar, so I'm going to get down from the lion. I'm going to kata. So ana, to get up, epi, to sit upon, and kata, to come down from. Let's say I get a little too close to the lion and I'm going into his mouth and he swallows me. So where am I now? I am N. I'm inside. I'm in the lion. N, inside. Perhaps he doesn't really like it. I gave him a stomach ache and now he throws me out. Blech. Ek. He says, ugh, ek. I'm exiting out of the lion. And so ice into N, N, E-N, English in, or, yeah, he throws up. And I am expelled from the lion. Yeah, don't eat me. Okay. Epi means upon, but if I'm above the lion, in other words, I'm not on him, but I'm above the lion, that would be hooper. If I'm below the lion, he might be sitting on top of me, laying on top of me, but if I'm just below the lion of any distance, then I am hoopo, or hypo, I'm under, beneath. Hyper, I'm above. Hupo would be the Greek. Hyper would be English. And above and below. If I am just, it's just Leo and me, we're buds, we're with together, that would probably be meta. I'm with the lion. I could be physically just simply near the lion, which would be meta, or it could mean that I am of like-mindedness. So I am in agreement with a particular speaker. I am with him. So it could have both a physical sense and it can have a metaphor sense. Para means we're buds and we're on the trail. We're walking together. Peri means I'm circling the lion. And dia means I ice into the lion. I'm in the lion and I'm out the lion. I have gone through the lion. Dia. Yeah. I'm not tasty, am I? Okay. So meta with, parallel, para, I'm moving alongside. Peri, moving around. Pro, meaning I'm in front, but face-to-face, pros, or apo, I'm running away from. So those are all prepositions. They are describing my position to the lion. Some of these words have helper words that go along with them. They're sometimes paired up if they're standing alone. And we're going to treat all of these at first for this next slide as standalone. The panel that's going to be shown next is your position in respect to the lion. And it has these definitive articles. Remember, a definitive article is just the word the. So to, which you will see a lot of, means of the lion. Ton means the lion. But in this case, it's the acted upon object. So I'm doing something to the lion. And then toe is not used that often, but it's the sense that I'm doing something for the lion. It's more of kind of a stopping in place. It's got a weird concept here. You'll mostly see to and ton. Almost every sentence has an OU word in it somewhere. And then ton. To is what we call dative. To is genitive. Genitive meaning of. I'm something of something else. A dative means more like I'm doing this on behalf of somebody. I'm doing this for someone. It looks a little weird when we talk about the lion coming up, but at least you'll know what these definitive articles are doing. They're kind of controlling the grammar. So here's Leo right here. I'll just put my dot on his nose. We can go up, Anna. Epi, I can rest on him. Or kata, down of the lion or down from the lion. Here, kata to, the T-O-U, has that sense of or fromness. So you get that genitive sense that I'm down from the lion or down of the lion. If I'm approaching the lion, epi ton, which means it's active, epi to, which means resting of the lion or resting from the lion. It's kind of a weird English concept, but epi to is I'm resting. Epi ton means I'm approaching, I come upon, or I sat upon. And if the lion frightens me, then it's apo to, away from the lion. And here the two makes sense, away from the lion, kata to, down from the lion. These two are pretty clear that genitive makes sense for them. Epi to, kind of weird. Okay, so pros tone, which means I'm facing the lion, but I'm approaching the lion. I'm in action. Pros to has this stop sign effect. It just says I'm actually standing in front of the lion. face to face. I can also be above the line, hooper to, or below, hoopo to. So I can't explain to you why toe is used and tone is used. It has to do with the grammar, but definitely the two in the cases of kata and appa make abundant sense. I'm down of or down from the lion. Of, from are both genitives, or I'm running away from the lion, away of the lion. When you might even want to keep this chart to help you figure out, is it an active epi or a resting epi? Okay, let's assume this box is the lion. So eiston, I'm going into the lion's mouth. En to, I'm now in the lion, probably for his benefit because I just became his dinner. And then I can exit out of the lion, ek to, out from, out of the lion, out from the lion, has the same genitive concept. So to makes a world of sense here. Meta to, I'm with the lion. The arrow implies that I'm moving like para would. Para and meta would have kind of the same feel. Once again, meta is more like I'm with you, bud, and para is I'm going along with you. I'm traveling with you. Peri, like perimeter, means I'm running circles around the lion. And these are the prepositions. If you know these few prepositions, you will be able to crack a lot of the Greek words. And this is why I feel this particular chapter or this particular lesson is very valuable for novices. Now, grammarians say what I've just told you is all bunk, and I should never teach this prepositions in this manner. I should just have you see the entire words with the preposition jammed in front, and you'll just have to memorize that is what the word means. An example coming up has the word is translated as promise, but when you break it apart, it doesn't say promise, it says something else, and there, yea and verily, that would be an example of a word you would just have to memorize that means promise. But when you break it into its parts, you can say, oh, I see that there's a time element involved, that this was something I promised you a long time ago, and I'm maintaining my word, I'm keeping my word. And so in that case, the word promise carries a different tone. Why? Because you've known how to break apart the prepositions. Once again, you go to a grammar course, they'll say, don't do that. But when I stumbled with Greek, and I because I didn't know the vocabulary, had I known this particular lesson 30 years ago, I would have had a much easier time of learning Greek. So that's what I'm hoping that you too will do. So I'm going to bring back Leo. Once again, you want to get a stuffed animal, because if you only just say these words that are on your sheet of paper, maybe 10% of it will stick, and it'll just be sheer brute force. But if you have an object that you can practice with, up, upon, down, in front of, above, below, in, into, in, out of, facing, oppo, running away. If you can run through all of these prepositions with your favorite stuffed animal, growl, meow, then you will find it much easier in memorizing these prepositions, and it will become so much more easier when you get ready to do your wooden translation of the Greek. When I say wooden, I mean like a board, a piece of wood. So when you do your original translation, you are going to feel very stiff and constrained. You go, boy, this is an awkward, I wouldn't say it this way in English. No, that's because you're making a rough cut, literally a wooden cut of the Greek translation, and you're going to make that as your first draft. That's called your wooden translation. And it's going to look awkward. It's going to have, ofs in parentheses. It's going to have ands in parentheses. It's going to have the word one in parentheses. These helper words that you have to stick in to get your first draft in. Then you'll smooth it out. And let's say down from the lion is better English than down of the lion. And so that's that shade of meaning. And you would then smooth out the rough wooden translation into a better English. The word you would choose for your smoother English translation then becomes your choice. And this is where we get into the actual translation or the interpretation into English idiom. How would you say this in English? That's where you move from your wooden, very stiff, constrained translation that you might find in Greek interlinear and move into a more of a language that you're used to speaking in normal English. For this class, we will be focusing mostly on the wooden. Think of a board, and I'm going to make a rough cut. I'm going to take a buzzsaw through it, and I'm just going to give you a rough cut of the Greek sentence. And you'll hear me use this a lot, the term a wooden translation. Don't give up, because this particular lesson will feed into the others. You'll start seeing prepositions in front of nouns, verbs, and even as standalone words all through the New Testament. If you know these few words, you've made it over the peak. There was also a question of, why aren't I showing you these in the Greek alphabet? Well, as I mentioned in the first lesson, there's this sense that if I am trying to decode the alphabet and learn the language at the same time, I am at a severe disadvantage. So I'm leveraging what you already know, which is the English and the Roman alphabet. And by showing you the Roman versions of those Greek words, many of which of the letters look like Greek letters, you will be so far ahead that when we actually do get to the Greek versions of these words, and yes, hello, Leo. Leo is going to make another appearance. This time, all the words will be in the Greek alphabet.